Hello, everyone. Welcome to In the Corner, the place where every cricketer wants to be. I'm your host, Callum Dunk, and thank you so much for tuning in. Australia have won the Ashes inside 11 days. Pat Cummins and Steve Smith have led their teams beautifully over the last few weeks, and Australia are rightfully 3-0 up in the series. But England did show some really good fight today. I thought the game would probably be over in an hour and a half, and I decided not to go today, but I kind of regret not going now. There was some really good fight and patience from Jamie Smith and Will Jacks in particular. Bryden Cast surprised a few down the order, scoring 39 not out. But let's talk about the big story off the top. Obviously, Australia has won the Ashes, but at what cost? Because Nathan Lyon has tweaked his hamstring, and you would say it's very unlikely that he's going to be playing in Melbourne and or Sydney. Though there's a tight turnaround between these next two test matches, obviously with Christmas and New Year being so close together, you just don't really see a way that he can get up for Melbourne especially, but I would still say I would be absolutely shocked if he was playing in Sydney. So Australia has now got an opportunity to potentially try someone brand new, or they've got an opportunity to go back to spinners that they've tried previously. We'll talk about the options that could come in for Boxing Day later in the episode, but England started the day relatively positively, requiring 200 runs to win the game, and Jamie Smith played really nicely for 60. He was really watchful. He knew when to put the bad ball away, but it was just when he was going so nicely, and a few of my mates were texting me in the group chat and just said, "Oh, we could be in danger here," and they still had 120 to or 130, 140 to get at this point of the game. And Jamie Smith's hit 4 boundaries in a row and then just hit one straight up in the air. And I'm still quite impressed with what I saw from England in this particular batting innings. Crawley was patient, watchful. I was full of praise for him yesterday. I really liked what Will Jacks did today, and I think he's certainly earned himself a promotion up the order. And Smith, good application early, but just threw his wicket away with some dumb cricket. And if England, Harry Brook had it batted properly yesterday, Jamie Smith didn't throw his wicket away, England genuinely could have won this game. Not that I think they deserve to win this game at all, but Australia could have been really ruthless and battered England out of this game completely, giving them a total well over 500 to chase in the fourth innings. But they left the door just slightly ajar. But Mitchell Starc took 3 wickets this morning. Was having trouble with the foot marks, got switched around to the Riverbank stand-in and was able to take a couple of wickets bowling around the wicket. And Marnus Labuschagne in the slips today, absolutely unbelievable. The one that he picked out of Alex Carey's pocket was a great grab. You would have been filthy if he dropped it when it was clearly a keeper's catch. And I'm still of the opinion it was a keeper's catch, but far out. That was an absolute perler. I think he should be fielding in the slips cordon a lot more for Australia. I think potentially could go to first slip. But question is, with Khawaja probably getting an opportunity to play in Melbourne, do you field Marnus at third slip, or do you put him in the cover, mid-off area where he's going to be well and truly in the game? So I thought it was a great performance by Marnus in the field. Didn't score as many runs as he would have liked, but I thought his contributions in the slip cordon were absolutely vital for Australia in this game. Mitchell Starc around the wicket. I actually quite like him bowling around the wicket. Reminds me of kind of what he does in one-day cricket. Obviously not bowling as full of a length as he would in that one-day sort of setup coming around the wicket, but I thought Scott Boland's line and length was absolutely impeccable today. He took the final wicket, and I thought it was just such a great reward for effort, because I think he's been superb in this series so far. Obviously got touched up a little bit on the first day in Perth, but The way that he's been able to respond, the way that he's been able to bowl with Alex Carey up to the stumps as well, truly spectacular. And Australia is very lucky to have someone like him available to call on whenever there's an injury to one of the big three quicks. Nathan Lyon's injury is obviously a massive talking point, and it's very unfortunate. But Australia was still able to get the job done without him. Travis Head bowling a few more overs. I would have actually liked to have seen Marnus bowl a few more overs, if I'm being perfectly honest, with the older ball. Not so much with the newer ball, because Trav was bowling a little bit with that ball once it was 10 to 12 overs old, and getting some nice natural variation, because Trav's obviously not as big a turner of the ball as Nathan Lyon, but yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what they do. I'll just quickly touch on Will Jacks. I thought he was really patient. I thought he was so watchful today. Just hung the bat a little bit outside off stump with that dismissal to Mitchell Starc. Obviously, great catch by Marnus. But that's the fight and the ticker that England are absolutely looking for in this series. And Will Jacks, I suppose, was the surprise pick to come on this tour. I still think his bowling is very much a work in progress, but I'm sure that if he really wants to develop his bowling and be an option for Ben Stokes to call on consistently, he just needs to work on his bowling a bit more. His length in particular, his line's actually not too bad, but when he was bowling to the left-handers, he was really struggling, bowling a few half-trackers. But the Australians did play him quite well, so I think Will Jacks is someone that could be a little bit of a project for England to persist with, and I think he's shown a decent amount with the bat in the first couple of games that he has played. Not so much with the ball, but with the bat, I certainly think he's got the capabilities to bat in England's top six. Let's talk about Alex Carey being named player of the match, and I think this is fair enough. Scored 100 on the first day when the game was on the line. He came to the crease with Australia 4 for 94. I think it was a very justified player of the match. You could have easily given it to Trav after his 170, but the consistency from Carey across both batting innings, and then 7 dismissals, 6 catches, 1 stumping of Zach Crawley, and that stumping of Crawley was a big moment in the game. So I like that they gave it to the keeper. He deserves a lot of love, and he's getting a lot of love at the moment, Alex Carey. Let's look ahead to Boxing Day now. What changes would I be potentially looking at for both teams? I've been super critical of Cameron Green. If it was me, I'd be dropping Green and getting Webster into the side. I fully expect them to stick with Cameron Green now that they've won the series. I think Josh Inglis will drop out of the side and Steve Smith will return. Travis Head will continue to bat at the top of the order with Jake Weatherall, Marnus at 3, Smith at 4. I think Khawaja at 5, Carey at 6. I don't think you can move him from 6 at the moment. And I think Cameron Green can go to number 7. I would like to see Bo Webster in the team batting at number 7. I think that's a good spot for him. And then the real question is who would replace Nathan Lyon. So you've basically got 4 options in my opinion. So you got Mitch Swepson, who hasn't been seen in Test cricket since Australia's tour of Sri Lanka in 2022. Didn't set the world alight here, but I think it would be great to see a leggy play for Australia. Again, I think his bowling is much more suited to Australian conditions than it is the subcontinental. But obviously with wrist spinners, more chance of inaccuracy. Obviously, it's a more attacking option, but we have seen that Swepson can go for runs. So as much as I would love Swepson to have an opportunity, because I think he's always been given the rough end of the stick in terms of the selection and I suppose where he's played his cricket, played on some absolutely brutal flat tracks in Pakistan when he first started playing Test cricket, and then some pretty tough decks in Sri Lanka, particularly that second Test match in Sri Lanka that he played was just an absolute road and very, very difficult for all of the bowlers there. Then you've got Todd Murphy, who hasn't played Ashes or Test cricket since 2023, when Australia last played over in England. I thought he did okay in that series. England did come pretty hard at him, but I believe he took a four-for at the Oval. Todd hasn't set the world alight lately in first-class cricket, or when Australia did go to Sri Lanka. Earlier in the year, he played the first test match, didn't impress, was dropped for the second test match, and then Cooper Connolly made his test debut. From there, you could look at an option like Matt Kuhnemann. Last played in Sri Lanka, took 19 wickets in 2 test matches, has played county cricket for Durham, first started playing test cricket for Australia in 2023 in the Border Gavaskar Trophy over there. Did quite well over in India, took a 5 for 16 at indoor on that minefield of a pitch in indoor. So you could always go down that path. I don't mind the idea of the left arm spinner, just considering how many right-handers the English lineup of English right-handers that they've got in their lineup. Kuhnemann can bat a little bit, so that might help him to get the nod over someone like Todd Murphy. And the other option, who's probably the most like-for-like replacement, would be Corey Roccacioli. Currently not playing any Big Bash cricket to my knowledge. Been really impressive for WA over the last few years. Tall, very high release point, gets the curve, gets the drift, gets the bounce. So yeah, it would be really interesting to see. The other option is that Australia just don't consider a spinner at all, and then they really juice up the wicket at the MCG and play 4 quicks. You'd think Michael Neser would come back into the team if they decided to go down that path. I still think that we should be looking to play a spinner. I do think we need an opportunity to see another spinner coming through and playing them in Australian conditions. Obviously, Nathan Lyon's been so successful for Australia for a number of years, barely missed a test match at home in the last 14 years until the pink ball game in Brisbane. I would probably go with Matt Kuhnemann at this point. He's probably the most trustworthy. And if England do decide to attack him, he's quite an effective T20 bowler as well. Knows how to bowl defensive when required. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with the England team if they decide to, let's say, put Jacob Bethel at number 3. That's another left-hander in the English lineup. That might change their Australians' thinkings, and they might go with Todd Murphy or Corey Roccacioli. So it'd be very interesting to see what they do there. I'd love Matt Kuhnemann to get an opportunity. I would actually love Mitch Swepson to get an opportunity over Todd Murphy, if I'm being perfectly honest. I'm not sure what path they're going to go down. It would be very interesting to see what George Bailey, Pat Cummins, and Andrew McDonald have in store for that selection meeting. If we look at an England point of view, there's a lot of talk about Ollie Pope, and I'd probably, if they wanted to make a change, they probably should have done it in this game, with needing to win this game to stay in the series. But I think Bethel will come in for Pope at number 3. The other option that you could do is, I think Ben Stokes showed enough to go to number 3. I did say at the in the last test match video that Will Jacks could potentially bat at number 3. I think he's more suited to that number 5, number 6 position. I think it would be number 6. And Ben Stokes could go to 3. I thought he showed a lot of patience, a lot of temperament at the crease. Whether England would be wanting to expose Stokes to the new ball, I just think these next 2 test matches for England are a bit of a free hit. I also think they're a free hit for Australia. Australia will be wanting to win the series 5-0, obviously. Handy World Test Championship points up for grabs for both these teams. But yeah, for England, I'd be looking at who's potentially going to be in this side in 4 years' time when they come back to Australia. Jacob Bethel seems like a logical solution to, play for England in 4 years' time. I don't know whether he's the right person to bat at number 3, if I'm being perfectly honest. And then the other thing is, do they look at Bashir now that the series is gone? Or do they look at... I would personally not be playing Bryden Cass. I know that he showed a bit with the bat today, 39 not out today, and I thought he batted it quite well. Jofra, unless Jofra's got an injury, I think he play. If Jofra was out, then I think Cast would still play. I think Tung will get another opportunity. He took 4 wickets in that second innings. Cast just got a few wickets at the end, was on a hat trick. I personally wouldn't be going with him. I think Matthew Potts with good line, good length. You expect the pitch in Melbourne to have a little bit of grass on the wicket, so someone who can challenge that fourth and fifth stump line, I think would be very beneficial in those conditions. And whether they could move Jacks up the order or whether they're pretty comfortable with him batting at number 8 and being the frontline spinner in the team will be very interesting. So for Australia, I don't expect them to make any changes in the pace bowling attack department unless one of the quicks pulls up really sore from Adelaide. You'd think Steve Smith would come back into the team, bat number 4, Khawaja down to 5, and I think Josh Inglis is the one that makes way. So please let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Did you like what you saw from England today, showing a bit more determination and fight in the 4th innings? Australia winning this test match by 82 runs and taking the Ashes 3-0 at this point with 2 games to play. So thanks very much for watching. Thank you so much for your support on all of our social media videos over the last week, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.